fundamentally, our business, and I think the business of every other model provider, is going to look like selling tokens. You know, they may come from bigger or smaller models, which makes them more or less expensive. They may use more or less reasoning, which also makes them more or less expensive. They may be running all the time in the background trying to help you out. They may run only when you need them if you want to pay less. They may work super hard, you know, spend tens of millions, hundreds of millions, someday billions of dollars on a single problem that's really valuable. But we see a future where intelligence is a utility like electricity or water, and people buy it from us on a meter and use it for whatever they want to use it for. The demand that we see for that seems like it's going to continue to just go like this. And if we don't have enough, we either can't sell it, or the price gets really high and it, you know, kind of goes to rich people, or society makes a bunch of sort of central planning decisions that I think almost always go badly about, you know, we're going to use our limited compute supply for this and not that. So the best thing to me throughout all the history of capitalism, innovation, whatever you want, is to just flood the market.
Yeah.
Today's show is As Above, As Below on May 30th, 2026. And this first section is called Lambs versus Wolves. We are witnessing two camps in this world: emotionless, vile criminals against helpless, twisted emotions of sovereign soul carriers. Who will survive? Who will get the prize of the source of all unknown unknowns?
These emotionless criminals are the A-listers on the world stage, the celebrities, the world leaders, and all the world stage actors who sold their souls or their emotions for the money, honey, and promises trap of, say, duality, say binary, say 1-0, say 10, or the original natural design mortals are the alternative who dance with their emotions, with the spread of their essence, their emotions. You know, there's demons down below. Under the surface are huge cities, palaces, and infrastructure, including cross-nation highways. There's a ton of stuff the government never tells us. The common human is on a need-to-know basis only. Now we're going to do a flat earth chat where we entered a chat room of people arguing over the shape of earth, which seems like an odd thing to do, but don't we waste our time doing all kinds of odd things? So we made a statement.
I own the truth and am happy to share it, and it's free. And the response was, you own it? How much? I'll buy it for $67. And someone else said, quote unquote, own, question mark? And we said, own. Is it a crime to own truth? And they said, no. And someone else said, truth just exists. I don't know if anyone owns it. And we said, I worked hard to possess the truth for over 60 years. And the response was, well done. It takes testing. And we said, I have over-validated until I owned the truth and all lies faded. And they said, then you know Earth's reality? And we said, we're in a realm designed to match our anatomy and power. And they said, okie dokie. And we said, I guess God is dead here. And they said, far from it. And I said, I met God in 1967 at age 7. I know all the lies. We busted them all. And they said, glad to hear it. Most don't know it's him. We said, God is no gender, nor is God a judge. God is mistaught on every corner. We learned this as a couple, married since 1986. We are not in any cult or any religion. And someone responded, flat earther then? We said, I am a man. They said, How is that relevant to anything? And we said, I don't argue Earth's shape. I argue why we are here. I was extremely pissed off at an early age why no one will say with demonstration why we are here. A circuit can take many forms. Ultimately, I turned to observation of reality and validating it by balancing logic to intuition until they both agreed and were in parity. It turned out that every single lie is a very thin veneer over the blatant truths of observable reality. And so our response was, I'm seeing words, but none are making sense. We said, ask questions to take the answers. And they said, what possibly could you be talking about right now? And we said, the secret of our birth here.
So that was enough to get banned, because if you're not talking about questions, then you're basically a threat, because if there's answers, there's no more questions. At least that's somehow humans have been subtly persuaded that. They may not recognize it in their cognition, but we see it as an observable reality. But it turns out that humans have learned to hate themselves, and this leads to hating the creator of their self. And this is why we get hated as messengers, because it's convenient to lazy lemmings. The servers we've been banned in for life are because we stand for free men. Slavery has been chosen or preferred because a free man is a threat to the herd or the corralled or the caged or the cooped. It's another day in paradise. How's life as a member of the herd of oxen with human brains diminished by narcissism?
You know, social media is 100% bullshit and theft of time and energy and power by the evil rulers of the world. So let's look at seize it. That's the acronym is C.
SI.
Psi.
Yeah.
C. Everything in our reality is plain to see as reality. However, we live in a world of rulers who manage the messages from every category of theology, philosophy, academia, science, media, religions, and language. As long as the rulers can coax and coerce the populace and the middle managers to play along with their suggestions and fulfill our basic needs, then we will play along as long as our peers and our archetypes are as well.
This creates a reality that's based on false suggestions and false values that are harmful to the individual and the group, but serves the agendas of the rulers. It is arranged so that each human finds themselves alone and isolated, while at once playing the role of a herd member and a slave to suggestions within the society.
And now, a private talk with a flat earther. And they said, I feel like flat earth is yet another trap. Like they just want to prove they're smarter.
Well, that's because of the narcissism bubble everybody's living in, but we're actually, while we're in this state of spinning in place, we're being harvested. It's all about emotions harvesting. Our emotions are the spread of our essence, so while we play with our emotions, we play with our essence. We're the closest of all the beings in the universe to the essence, or the center point. We figured out all the external enemy strategies and who they are, but the people being attacked have been convinced that that's where they should belong. We tried for 6 years since 2020 and found that everybody's living in a narcissistic God matrix in their minds. We do know why and how to resolve it.
And they said, literally every single person?
Darn, or well, yes, but it's all at different proportions. The point is that we have the cure, but none are seeking a cure.
And they said, because of daily programming everyone goes through?
Yeah, well, it is all lies, and almost everybody admits to that. But the narcissism thought stream rolls over all of our other emotions, plus the seeking of money. Man's world is about to end if there's no response, but we know why and how to repair it.
If man's world ends, then women's world begins. Is this bad?
Well, what ifs are great, but they don't work in every circumstance. Woman's world was wrecked by man's world, and the feminine is totally obscured by a false feminine, by the say 1-0, say duality, say 10, and the AI-MI, who intend to become our new gods now, and none will resist it. All the A-listers, leaders, and celebs are 100% captured by this entity, and they are assets of the say 10 system. It's actually in plain sight at this point and an observable reality.
Winning and whining. Winning is easy, but most choose whining to remain social. Then the habit turns to a lifestyle, then shame turns to narcissism. Facing the observable reality of your anatomy and world solves any issue. Gender confusion is a tactic in the 5th-gen warfare attack on us humans. The cure is as simple as the problem is complex. The sun is cold, it's ice and feminine, it's the source. The moon is a hot place and masculine, the executor. We are the central figures. Digit, when reduced to its base, is DGT.
And it's also the acronym for divine give and take, or the beautiful, mysterious seesaw of life that's held up by the axis, or the spindle of creation, which exists in everybody. You know, tomorrow the full moon will set on the horizon at 70 degrees away from where the sun set, and the moon and sun will travel at this separation and 70 degrees variance from the ecliptic path. It's always been 5 to 10 degrees until early 2020. We have 6 years of daily recordings and they all match the published NASA data. Somehow no one wants to look up. I assume that's because they're all looking down. This next section is called Divine Give and Take, what we talked about earlier. The digits themselves are give and take by divine providence. This earth we live in and the universe is a realm. It's not a planet in vast space. The sun and moon are as local as heaven and hell. Everything's co-located. The God or source intelligence power of our reality provides the playing field, and we are the players. The natural order, when observed, is a map to victory.
Anima and animus, that equals one and many. Anima is one, animus is many. Earth is a realm, not a planet in vast space. Every complexity carries a mutual power of simplicity, an observed reality. Ignoring this demonstrates immaturity. Here's the apple story. An apple from inception to the ground describes the purpose of creation and man and God. It is an observable reality.
So I mentioned this in a chat room, and this was the first response I got.
They said, clarify.
It is done by observing the life of an apple from start to finish.
And they said, an apple tree being grown, producing apples, and then the apple fallen, the sowing, the dying, and the quickening.
So apparently that's your observation. Here's another way to look at it: the beginning, the middle, and the end.
And we said, the apple first from arises as a bump on the tree branch from nothing. It then forms a stem and a leaf. From this forms a bud, appears from nothing, out of the leaf. The bud grows into an apple. The apple falls from the tree as free food from the universe. The core of the apple is the beginning of the apple at the inception or bump on the tree branch, and the core beginning or inception point stays attached to the center core of the apple, a contained Fibonacci spiral of sorts.
It's a demonstration of the container of the universe that we all live in, of which each of us is a contained universe within it. In the apple, the double torus field is evidenced in the shape of the apple, but it's also grown inside the apple and can be witnessed by cutting the apple in half. This next section is called For or Against. For or against is a matter of will. You're at the control of your reality. The word done means more about what it's spelled as. D plus one, meaning of or dismiss, the one. Continuums have no endings, but DT is a divine tragedy and DT is 4-9. The faith equals fate plus H, FAIT plus H, or by decree like fiat, which reduces to FT. The word fiat with vowels removed is FT, and that's 6-9 in digits, with IA in the center position. It would be shown as 6 asterisk or star, and then 9.
Faith or potential becomes realized when the contentions of 6-9 face each other and the central spark of themself and God that they each occupy equally. A reunion of woman-man or 6-9 is an aggregation and meeting of mutual admiration and parity between the forces of the mother, the father, child, and the reason, God. Faith reduces to F and TH, that's 6 and 9-8, 98, with AI in the middle. From 6 to 98 or 9-8 is out of natural order. This next section is called the moving air. The air is in perpetual motion because of its combined etheric and still natures. An example of contention in the axis, holding the movement and providing the power and intelligence and retention, plus aggregation of all discoveries and expansions or separations.
This is why the air is called the ether in ancient times, because of its magical ability to connect everything. It's because all things have the contention and the stillness within them. So this stillness is the source of all unknown unknowns. And with the highest animated form, mankind, we carry a big spark of this axis of the universe that makes us the highest resource in the universe.
What's aliens? A lien, an eyed, a debt, an obligation.
We're paying for it.
And we're paying for it with machine love, with dollar love, with IoT and IOB and DID and Y-band and dependency and capture, releasing of free will and an inclination to any inclination to the axis. So inception, conception, gestation, birth, stages of life, death, and return. Oh, it's a wave function.
Yes, so somehow, even though we all are talked into fatalism and nihilism, the truth is we're born into a continuum. We just were taking a nap before we started. But it continues, and you continue. There's some interesting words in our recent history. The beginning of the internet was actually telnet, and that's actually a code to tau, T-A-O or T-A-U, plus the net. The telnet is the internet, which is the net to capture, and then the inter, or to keep in place permanently. Everything we do is a procession down to a day and a moment. Telnet refers to two things: a protocol that specifies how two parties communicate with a software application, and that implements the protocol as a service. So it all depends on who's holding the infrastructure. The net to inter. These are the fake realities. And how are we able to make fake realities?
How do we make fake realities? Anything we focus on observes us back per observable laws of nature and then becomes real. It causes speech and language to become reality maps and execution tools. And now we're going to look at the word Allah when split apart the base reduction is the letter H, or 8. Acronymically, it's arm, leg, leg, arm, head.
So, actually, Allah as an acronym means a man, the code for the H, or the 8. It's the H side of Ah, which is the declaration of a material universe that continues but has perishing within it. The Ah and Ha, the man, is the H, the 8 origin, and the H is the execution, the H side of Ah and Aha. God is everywhere and uncatchable as it appears in all things, but it's also in the absolute center. A and H are the only two silent spoken letters, and they represent in and out, I-O, or the in-breath and the out-breath. Ah for in-breath, Ha for out-breath, with the self, or the star, in the absolute center, powered by the spark of God.
Allah, A-L-L-A-H, is spoken as a clock from 1 to 1-2.
Left
Oh,
arm.
12. So
left arm.
1, which is the left arm, to 12, the head, and 5 stops. The word Allah shows the left arm, the A, appears first out of the stillness, and it becomes the dark and the invisible, or the invincible. The mutual parity of a false idol and the reduction of the word Allah are a divine coincidence that is actually divine in action, always a continuum of coincidences. All plus Ah is a proclamation of all Ah. The Ah is the appearance and intelligent design and the power of the material universe.